What does Brexit mean to your local deli? And we're not talking about your supermarket deli. Those are probably going to be fine because they'll be able to get away with the mass produced stuff. But there are those, of course, out there, many people out there who know that charcuterie boards have become the big thing. And people love having these different things they can get on their charcuterie boards, the different salamis, the different hams, olives, etc. All kinds of stuff you can get on. And they've been growing massively in popularity, massively so. And of course, it is these independent delis that have allowed these things to thrive because big supermarkets can't really focus on like these specialty items because they're not in demand enough for a supermarket to justify stocking them. But in specialty delis, they can get away with it. They can have, short bits and pieces for a limited time. They'll have, the regular customers who will come in, pick it up. They've got the choice, they've got the option. So, what does this mean now with these new food checks for your local delis? Well, ultimately, it's going to mean a lot less choice and probably even higher prices. Because as we saw when checks originally came in for goods going into Europe, we saw businesses just stop doing it. They lost business, 30 to 40% of their business. And European companies just said, there's no point trying to do business with someone in Europe anymore because the paperwork, all the extra costs are just too onerous. Now, of course, checks now come in from the other way. What's going to happen now? Well, the exact same thing. European businesses are going to go, there's no point doing business with someone in the UK because there's a lot of red tape. It's too much extra additional cost. And either A, they can't afford to pay for it, or just the cost and the time. By the time the product gets there, it's got like a week's shelf life, which isn't enough for these independent delis to potentially to be able to sell or at least get back from selling that particular good. So independent delis in particular are really going to get hit. Really going to get hit. So if you do happen to have an independent deli at the moment, probably go and stock up because the likelihood you're about to get a whole lot less choice and probably even higher prices. So go stock up while you can if you're like your charcuterie boards. So before we get more into this story today, please do remember to click on your like, share, and subscribe buttons. And of course, down below, there are the Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee. There's the Pony Club down below as well. And of course, the YouTube thank you button as well. So also remember, it is, Wednesday yesterday. So there is a new video for, of course, the Patreon members and the Pony Club members as well. So do remember to check that out as well. So let's go on in today's story. And this comes from The Guardian talking about this thing. So new Brexit food checks will now likely mean less choice, warn delis. Thousands of delicatessens and other specialty food shops have now said that the new border rules that come into force from Wednesday are likely to mean reduced choice for products for customers. The Guild of Fine Food, which represents over 12,000 businesses, has raised fears that the European suppliers of specialist foods such as cheeses and meats will stop supplying the UK as a result of additional red tape for imported goods. Bear in mind, they have very good fears about this because we have seen, when the barriers went up for, for goods in being imported to the EU, we saw EU customers just go, ain't worth it. And we saw UK businesses also say, all this extra red tape and cost ain't worth it. So they have really good cause for concern for this. And like I say, two things are either going to happen. Either A, prices are going to go up, and these small specialty food companies ain't going to be able to pay it, and it's going to end a lot of these independent shops and delis, or the choice will be massively reduced, to which point it's like, well, you can get it from the supermarket and probably cheaper, potentially. But anyway, John Farron, the managing director of the Fine Food Guild, said, I'm just worried that we are going to end up buying and selling only the mass-produced products, and we are going to end up seeing smaller, more interesting products, which are now ultimately going to be better for the planet. The government, of course, is introducing the biggest changes in the way that the UK imports food and plant products from the EU since leaving the single market in January of 2021. The changes known as the Border Targeting Operating Model will require all imports of medium and high-risk products, which include meat and dairy and the majority of plants, to be sent with both export and health certificates from Wednesday. One of the big worries is that there's still not enough vets because they have to have a vet certificate. And just as we have found this problem as well in the UK, there aren't enough vets to do this. So, these new requirements have now caused widespread concern that there could be a result of very small suppliers now just giving up on supplying the UK because of these extra costs. Farron said that while large supermarkets and large exporting businesses would have the financial base and resources to continue ensuring supply, smaller retailers where wholesale resellers could not. This is what we've been saying since the beginning. Brexit, large companies probably going to be able to do it. They're going to have, as we said, the resources, they're going to have the staff to do it. But it's your medium and your small businesses that are not going to be able to really take on the cost of what it now means to export or even import in some cases. And this is now going to have big impacts on our economy. So Angela Rosca, the CEO and founder of Metrico Metropolitan, which runs a number of sites down in London, hosting dozens of independent food outlets, agreed that these new rules would now deter EU suppliers and urged the government to rethink. Raka said that for independent retailers, these new import rules could result in more specialty retailers or delis simply having empty shelves and at worst having to close down due to limited supply of produce coming into the UK. And they have, as we've said before, every reason to fear this because we saw this happen when the exports checks went the other way and now they're coming into the UK. So we're going to see this exact same thing happen. And there is now going to be a really big problem, a really big problem. In fact, you had Angela Edson. She was on, I think, LBC or Sky News, and a florist said, I'm going to import my flowers from Amsterdam. You know, all these checks and extra, it's going to become too cost prohibitive. It's just, I'm not going to be able to find. What do you think? And Angela Edson said, oh, it's fine because you can now import your flowers from elsewhere. Well, I'm sorry, but where else is closer to import flowers from? You know, they just do not understand. They just did not and never understood what the cost and consequences would be to the UK. But there you go. So, according to the government, the additional costs of the border checks and the new certification requirements could add up to another 330 million a year of extra costs now for businesses. Nick Curari, the sales director at the Italian food importer Telemarolno, said that he had heard of several suppliers in Italy opting against exporting to the UK because of the post-Brexit tape. What did we say? What did we say? No point. Just give up because it's extra cost, extra stuff. No point. We've got the rest of the EU we can export to at the moment. What's the point? He said that it has just not been worth it for a while. The UK is not a big enough market for us, and it's a shame because the end user will ultimately lose out of these specialist products. What did we say? And yet people say that, oh, the UK's a big market. It's not when you compare it to the European Union. In a statement, the government has now said that these new controls would help prevent other important diseases. So ultimately, are these going to help we're not 100% sure, but we'll see. Anyway, there you go. Sorry about that. Had to take a call. But yeah, um, I think delis have really the right level of concern here. I really do think they do, because we've seen what happened to UK businesses that used to export. They've lost 30 to 40% of their business, and in some cases have just given up completely. So I think they have every right to worry about what will happen and the future of their delis. And it's not just them. Multiple different food businesses are worried about their future as well. Florist, as we said, with Angela Leadsom saying it's okay, a florist can get flowers from the rest of the world. Don't think they're going to last a journey, to be honest. But there you go. Anyway, yeah. Uh, Unfortunately, this is just quote another Brexit benefit according to Angela Leadsom. All these checks delay and damage to businesses just means what it means to be a sovereign country these days. Uh, yeah, and of course people won't put up with it. We're already seeing the polls change. We're seeing attitudes change to it as well. So yeah, it probably will not be long before we really restart a conversation about Brexit again. And I think in the next parliament, where all these Brexit headbangers are now gone, we will probably be able to have conversations about this again. And as we said, I think the Keir Starmer plan is, look, we do as many deals as we can with the EU, and eventually turn around and just say, look, this is Brexit. This is as best as it's ever going to be. Are you sure you really want to continue on this? And of course, you look at the polls, everything now is saying that Brexit would be reversed. So, yeah. So, as always, we'll see you all next time.